Once more, the NBA community decides to disrespect Kobe Bryant, and enough is enough, dog. It's enough.
I love Kobe, God rest his soul, but he's not top 3 in most people's eyes. So I don't even understand how this is even an argument with him and
Wait,
LeBron.
who's the third?
I think it's Shaq, but there's a lot of guys would go even older than him. If you look at rankings across the world, I don't think Kobe is in most people's top 3. He's not.
Bro, this ain't gonna lie. This is gonna be a long video, I can already tell. Chandler Parsons, you live in a bubble, a very, very small bubble. Should Kobe actually be considered a top 3 player of all time? I think that's a fair conversation. However, do most people consider Kobe Bryant top 3 all time? Yes, they do. There are several rankings that have been done on several different platforms. And in particular, here on YouTube, a couple years ago, House of Highlights had a poll where they had hundreds of thousands to millions of people voting on the top 12 to 13 players in NBA history. And in that poll, not only did Kobe finish 3rd, when you look at the voting between Kobe and LeBron, because effectively what they did was they had each and every single player went head to head against everyone else, and obviously who won the most polls finished up higher on the ranking. Michael Jordan never lost a poll. LeBron only lost one, and the one that LeBron lost to was to Kobe, and the polling between Kobe and LeBron was practically split 50-50. So this idea that most people don't have Kobe in the top 3, that's just not true. That's why Lou Williams is looking at you like that with a stank face, because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You're in a small bubble, brother. A very small bubble.
You think he's top 3, Lou?
I ain't rolling, Chandler. Yeah, absolutely.
I would rank Kevin Durant.
Kobe gets caught up in
Kevin Durant above Kobe.
Fuck, bro. So then I got to get nasty, and I'm the bad guy if I start slandering this nigga Kevin Durant, but then I get nasty. I got to get nasty. Why would you rank Kevin Durant over Kobe? More championships, actually led a team, not a doom squad, not the best team of all time. Both volume scorers, but one is a better defender, passer, and playmaker. One is also more athletic than the other as well. KD is nice, a lot of great things, but I don't understand how you can sit here and say that one is better than the other. And if you're going to die on the hill of like scoring efficiency, which I'm not going to sit here and like argue you down on that, because KD is a more efficient scorer, but a huge reason why that is solely because Kevin Durant participated in an era of basketball where it was easier to score. Every single time KD went into postseason, however, playing on those OKC teams where he didn't have that much floor spacing, his shooting splits across the board looked very similar to Kobe Bryant's. And then he went to go play with Golden State Warriors, shooting all over him with Curry and Clay, better floor spacing, ample passer and playmakers all around him as well. He got maximized. Kobe never got the opportunity to play alongside players like that. Then after that, KD has effectively picked 2 other teams that he wanted to play for, where once more, the floor spacing is significantly greater than Kobe has ever had. And more importantly, in the postseason, Kobe Bryant has had to consistently match up against some of not just the greatest defensive teams on a year-to-year basis, which he did, but some of the greatest defensive teams we've seen over the last 25 to 30 years. And the one time Kobe actually got to catch a break and match up against a bad defensive unit, which was the 2010 Phoenix Suns, he torched them, and it wasn't even close. Getting tired of this Kobe disrespect, dog. Getting tired of it.
It's going to be younger guys that's going to put Kevin Durant in that conversation. I'm a Shaq guy as well.
Magic and Larry Bird, the older guys would put them above Kobe. So it's a generational argument.
Now, the generational argument is true, and to be completely fair, honest, and transparent, I'm 30, so I grew up 31. So I grew up watching Kobe Bryant for a good portion of my upbringing. So, of course, I may have a bias towards him. Of course, people have a bias towards KD, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. But the reason why I brought up that poll on House of Highlights with the large sample size because most of those people are probably younger leaning. A lot of those people probably didn't watch peak Kobe Bryant, young Kobe, right? And yet he still was able to accumulate not only enough votes to land him top 3, but again, enough votes for him to nearly get as many votes as LeBron when they matched up with one another in the polling. Even when a younger generation can see, they still look at Kobe as a top 3 player of all time.
And Kobe Bryant in 2000-2001 season averaged 28.5, Shaq 28.7. 2001-2002, 25.2 Kobe, 27.2 Shaq. 2002-2003 season, Kobe Bryant averaged 30 a game, Shaq averaged 27. That means at one point during the 3-year run you're talking about, Kobe averaged more and he did not get carried. And then that means that another year where they both averaged 28 and Shaq edged him by 0.2, you would say that they tied it. So it's 1-1 in a tie season. So
we're not talking about 02-03. 02-03.
Of course you're not. Of course you're not.
The concept of Kobe being carried, especially after the first championship, just is not true at all. Kobe was not getting carried beyond the first championship. Now, with that being said, there's also this other angle of people who are just being very extreme on how how they articulate these arguments about Kobe and Shaq, they feel like it's a bad word, or how dare you ever say that Kobe was like second fiddle to Shaq. It is okay to say that Kobe came second to Shaq. And I've said this several times, I'm gonna say it again. Not only is it not a knock, I would go as far as to say there is no player in NBA history that would have came ahead of Shaq at that point, especially in those finals. LeBron would not be a first option if he was on a team with Shaq at that point of time in their careers, especially in the finals when Shaq is going up against Rick Smits in his last year, a 34-year-old Dikembe Mutombo, who though won DPOY was not the same athlete that he was early on. And then in the final series, it was Todd McCullough and Jason Collins defending Shaq. If you think that LeBron or you think that Michael Jordan, even at their apex, would have came in and outperformed and told Shaq, man, get the fuck out of the way. It's my team. I take all the shots. Shaq was getting those players in foul trouble within the first 8 minutes of the game. You can ride the rest of the first quarter, go into the second quarter with a backup big on Shaq, and you think if Michael Jordan saw that and said, you know what, I'ma still outscore Shaq, that would be dumb. So again, I don't think that it's a knock on Kobe to be second to Shaq in that type of a situation.
If we're using championships as a metric, you're saying, well, 3 of them don't count because he was with this guy, he didn't lead the pack and all this dumb shit that don't got nothing to do with greatness. It don't got nothing to do with me winning without him, because Michael Jordan didn't win no championship without Scottie Pippen. How are we going to measure Jordan's career? Because actually Kobe went and did it.
And this nigga like old drunken uncle that's arguing things that have not been said yet. Bro, it's fine. Kobe was a sidekick to Shaq in the first three-peat, especially in that first championship. It is okay.
Sidekick logic off the table. In the 2000-2001 season, on that run to the NBA championship, from the beginning of the season to when they won the NBA championship, who was the better player, Shaq or Kobe?
Kobe.
Who was the number 1 player in the league? Okay.
Shaq. No. Shaq was the number 1 player in the league, but the better player of the two was Kobe Bryant.
They were both in the league.
Bro, I'm getting an aneurysm, my nigga. I'm getting an aneurysm, bro. How can somebody be the best player in the entire league, but not be the best player on their team? That makes no sense.
We put a zone in the NBA because, one, we couldn't guard Shaquille O'Neal by himself, and then Kobe emerged as a superstar. So
he averaged 28 a game. He averaged 28.
Emerged means
okay, they both average 28. If one is still a better defender, better rebounder, and the 28 that Shaq is getting is grabbing way more attention from the defense, getting double way more often, and it's just much more impactful because it puts more stress on the defense than Kobe does. Shaq is a better player.
Who did the Lakers play that finals in the 2000-2001? Who did they play in the finals that year? They beat Philly. Who did they play in the conference final? Was it the Spurs? Was this the legendary Kobe Bryant dismantling the Spurs by itself?
Saying that Kobe dismantled the Spurs by himself. You are getting upset that people completely dismiss what Kobe did just for you to do the exact same thing with Shaq. Yes, Kobe averaged more points in that one series. Just because you average more points than someone else in 4 games does not mean that makes you now better. But 2, if you go back and watch that series, Shaq got way more attention than Kobe, was generating way more looks for everyone else than Kobe, and was a better defender, more impactful defender in that series than Kobe. Shaq was still the better player in that series than Kobe wasn't. Kobe was amazing in that series. Shaq was still the better player.
But number 2 is supposed to do that
a couple times.
Like number 1 does 75% of the lifting, and then sometimes number 2, hey, do your thing. Like that's what this for.
28 a game is sometimes do your thing.
It was 75-25.
It wasn't 75, Gil.
It might have been 70-30.
Yeah, hey, listen, that's when you know exaggeration gets real nasty out here when you get this exaggeration.
It's like when you at a family reunion or a cookout and your 2 drunken uncles just sitting here just saying bullshit. They just topping each other with some dumb shit. They just saying, who can say the worst dumb shit? Let me be fair. It depends on what series, but I wouldn't say it was 75-25. Especially the deeper we get into these runs, it's definitely getting closer to like 50-50, right? That first championship run, it's closer to 75-25, to be honest with you. After that, it's like 60-40, bro. I don't even know how to even put it to you. It's like 60-40. It took a very unique and specific player to play alongside Shaq to maximize those possessions in those games. Like, people sitting there saying, Vince Carter could did that, or Iverson could that. No. Not 2 niggas who weren't hell-bent on practicing and pushing the team and trying to get the most out of every single last player. Not those niggas. Iverson's been on record saying he wasn't practicing. You can't have Shaq and Iverson out there talking about how they not going to practice. No.
He wasn't in the NBA yet.
51-49.
I had 4 sinners trying to figure out how they can all pretend they had the fucking.
Boo.
You told me your sentence was trash. You know worry about that.
Boo.
It's trash.
And what's even crazier is that I feel like as time continues to progress, the nuances of these conversations continue to get lost, not just from our two favorite drunken uncles there. I saw on Twitter, someone was sitting there trying to downplay the 09 Lakers, which I was like, bit of a stretch. Sure, it's not a super team, but it's not as bad as you think that it is, because at that time in NBA history, that's about how most teams were constructed. But then on the flip side, when I sit here and I see idiots like this individual, oh, it's 3 All-Stars and a 6-Man of the Year in this picture. And then you got Swiper right below him saying, they only know narratives, not ball. Bynum was cold. Powell ate KG's lunch. Kobe was a top 2 or best in the world. Odom was a 6'9" do-it-all wing. Shannon Brown was a good 2-way guard. Ariza was a great wing defender. They were literally stacked. Shut the fuck up! Because the one thing I know I'm not about to sit here and allow someone to lie on is this nigga. That was not a stacked roster. It was on par with everyone else in the NBA. Bynum was cold in 09? In 2010? He wasn't an all-star, nigga. He was out there averaging like 4 or 5 points in 09. Bynum was constantly in foul trouble. Bynum couldn't defend. He wasn't in good shape. Nigga was always injured. Oh my God. Trevor Ariza, he was a great defender in 09? In 2009, Trevor Ariza was such a question mark that he wasn't even a full-time starter. How is it possible in 2008 we were able to get to the finals when Trevor Ariza only played 8 games in the postseason? Answer that. You gotta answer that. Shannon Brown barely was getting any PT. He wasn't even a backup point guard. When Derek Fisher got hurt, they still put Jordan Farmar in front of him in the starting 5. And by the time we got to the finals in 09, he was not even playing all of the games in the finals. Powell ate KG's lunch. Part of the reason why we ended up losing in 08 is because Powell was not physically and mentally prepared yet. I fucks with Powell. A lot of growth and development. And by the time we got to 2010, he certainly looked better. But the Lakers were getting deep postseason runs, making the finals and win a championship before that version of Powell even occurred. So I'm not saying that the team was trash. The supporting cast was on par with a lot of other teams back then. But if you have to say that and acknowledge it, what you also have to admit by default is that Kobe was just better than most of those niggas. Matter of fact, all of those niggas. KD had those responsibilities, acknowledged that, hey man, the team that I'm on doesn't give me enough floor spacing. I want a better system, and I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. But then trying to compare what Kevin Durant was able to do on the best floor space team, by far the best talent, situation's not even the same. And yet, for whatever reason, people will kill Kobe for playing with Shaq, but now all of a sudden Chandler Parsons talking about how KD over this. Shut the fuck up. But hey man, on that note, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.